Anyway.
Yeah, really.
So.
Other neat things that were coming up new is that this year I've seen some very interesting combination vaccines for cats, not for dogs. I don't know why not for dogs.
Did we give that to Grizz, our little
That's
mascot
right. That's
here
right.
at
We
WCAT?
last show we vaccinated our mascot here.
Took care of that.
Grizz doesn't like me very much,
Oh,
but
he was
I
very
used
fierce. He
one
was
of the
growling
new
and
5-in-1 cat vaccines. It has rabies, distemper, leukemia, as well as upper respiratory viruses, all in one vaccine. I've also seen a rabies and distemper combination for cats, and as well as a distemper and leukemia.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them for. Have you seen or heard anything about dogs combination coming out?
No, not in the near future anyway, that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't keep up on all of that, so I may be not knowing about something that's in the
I haven't
wings,
heard it. I haven't heard either, but I know that the cat shots are preferred by the cats 10-to-1. One needle's better than 3.
Of course, our biggest problem with rabies is in cats right now.
Still is.
The raccoon rabies problem that we're having, the cat is the most susceptible because the cats are the ones that are out hunting and entangling with wildlife more so than dogs. And so they're the biggest threat. So getting cats vaccinated, especially for rabies, is really very, very important.
I remember just earlier this year, we got several calls from a kitten that was bought at New Hampshire.
Oh, and they had that problem.
Had the problem, and actually they were calling my clinic at East Boston about what happened to this kitten with rabies, and actually they had gone over to Angel and seen Dr. Gambardella's clinicians over there. And so that was a totally innocent thing where someone went into a pet store. The pet store had gotten the cat from a feral cat, I think it was, outside, or some background where.
Yeah, because I remember reading about that.
Through no one's direct fault, really, this pet store was selling kittens that had rabies. And that's kind of a scary thing to think.
So that meant that all of the people that were in contact had to have shots and check up too?
Well, it's very simple. If you're exposed to rabies, you either don't get it or you die. Now, when your doctor gives you the choice, well, what would you prefer to do? You could die, or you can get 10 shots, cost a couple $1,000s, no big deal, right? Most people take the shots with good reason, and I would too.
So they have to destroy all these kittens then?
Yes, all the kittens. Well, they had to that's another reason to make sure you keep those cats vaccinated, because the test for rabies is a rather permanent test.
I was thinking that.
You remove the brain of the animal, send it to the state lab, so you don't want to go testing randomly. You want to be sure there's a reason for it.
Oh, what a shame.
How many rabid cats have you seen come into Angel, or what have you see far more critters per day than I do? That's okay.
We've had a few, not many, actually come into the hospital.
3 or 4. I mean, I'm just
about that, I think, in the last year. But the testing has been. We do a lot of that. Animals that are put to sleep and they needed testing, our pathology department will remove the heads and take them to the state lab for testing, and the state lab does that.
Okay, so it's actually done over in Jamaica.
In Jamaica Plain, that's right, which is just up the street from us. So we see them, we see those animals much more frequently than a regular animal hospital.
Well, they had about from 50 positives several years ago up to, was it 750 last year, I think, or maybe even just somewhere around there. I don't have the numbers.
Nearly every city and town in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, it's like 80% of the cities has had at least one positive, raccoon or something like that.
And those towns that have not had a positive yet probably do have rabid raccoons. It's just that they haven't
tested them,
found one yet. Right. So. Very important problem, and the law now states that cats have to be vaccinated as well as dogs.
And now it's even easier because we have one shot that'll do everything.
No, because it's amazing, because when you speak with people on the telephone, sometimes they still say the same thing. Well, my cat is an indoor cat. I don't want to get him. And I say, you never know.
That's right.
He could come out. He could get out at any time.
Right.
And even one other problem is that if that indoor cat is to bite a human, and many times humans deserve to be bitten. I mean, I've seen a few people that I like to bite myself. I am on the cat's side. But these, little kid puts his hand down, oh, nice kitty, grabs him by the tail, cat turns and bites him. If that cat is not vaccinated, the owner then is in trouble, legal trouble. I've seen a few things where, you know, the cat had to be destroyed to be tested, or under a strict quarantine through the public health department. It's just not worth the aggravation.
Oh, that's right. So if a cat in a house bit a child or someone that came in, the owner is liable?
Oh, you're always
Because you
liable
could get
for your property,
infected
but
from a cat bite.
What's the regulation from the state, Paul, on that? For
Regarding-
if an animal bites a human, what is supposed to happen then?
Well, first of all, was it or wasn't it vaccinated?
If it
If
was
this
not,
is a dog or a cat, if it
not
has
vac-
not been vaccinated, then it should be destroyed, euthanized, and tested. And that's something that will be up to the specific town's animal inspector to decide.
okay, is it the town? Can the town force it to happen, or can the owner have any rights at all
No,
at that point?
the town decides
So it's up to the
through the
town
animal inspector to
or public
to
health
enforce the statute.
department. So that's where it's, theoretically, if an animal bites a human, that owner has no rights anymore. So that's where you give up your rights when you don't have them get their rabies shot.
Yes, that should make everybody very aware.
Once you
love
realize,
your
it's kind
animal,
of like,
that's right.
once I realized the risk was out there, I went and got my rabies shots, and I do not prefer to
know,
get
yeah.
vaccinated.
I know, and it was painful, right?
Oh, I've had other worse pains in my life. But you know, it's worth it. I mean, that way, I figured I'd rather get 3 shots for people, and I speak with personal experience. You get 1 vaccine, you get followed up in 3 weeks, and then 2 months after the first one. And yeah, you get a little lump and a little stiffness and soreness, but I figured I'd rather have a preventative level into me, because in my line of work, as well as anybody who handles animals, you're going to get bitten or scratched sooner or later. You do everything possible to avoid that, but there'll be one day you're half asleep and you put your hand out, nice kitty chomp, ouch, you know, that, and if he, you know, the odds are not high, but I figured with the problem going around, the odds are much, much higher for me, so I went and did it. I wouldn't recommend you do it, or, well, you might be able to, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You already have
All
your
the vets
shot
at
for that.
Angel had their rabies
Yes.
shots? Yeah.
All our staff, any member of our staff who handles animals has been vaccinated against rabies.
We did all the people that worked in our clinics too. They didn't, well, they, you know, given the choice of, well, here's what happens if you do get bitten, and here's what happens when you don't, they decided to go ahead and do it. Now, you were starting to tell me a little bit about some of the wellness programs at Angel.
That's
We do. We have a
interesting.
wellness program that's not only for the benefit of the pet, of course, but it's to educate the client so that the client understands what it will take to have a healthy, happy pet. So that that pet will also be a welcome member of the family as well. So that included in the wellness program, not only vaccinations and parasite control, but also nutrition, preventive dental care, and behavior. So they should
is
also
important.
enter into a behavioral training program so that they can respond to commands and be, you can discipline your pet as well.
Well,
so
that's
that-
something
No,
new in
it's
veterinary
true.
medicine over the last 4 or 5 years. They now have, you know, veterinarians, DVMs, who are behavior specialists now. We're lucky because we have several in the Boston area. I think Amy Martyr and Stephanie Schwartz, who that's all they do is they will go ahead and help you through a problem with your animal. Many times it may just be something as simple as training, but other times there can be, you know, some psychological aspects that they analyze and figure out a way to mold the animal to be a good pet. And that's
Because
something,
that seems so unusual. Years ago, that was the in thing in California. Everybody had a psychiatrist for their dog. And when people first started discussing this around here, it seemed so unusual. But it's actually a good idea. Because I have a cat right now, a little Siamese, and she's on Buspar, right, instead of Prozac. And her
That's
eyes were
she's an
very
anxiety.
anxiety. But she's doing better, and I'm one who doesn't believe in over-medication. But I was convinced that, and she is acting better.
Well,
I must say
learning,
that.
you know, when you first acquire an animal, particularly if it's a puppy or a kitten, having training classes in the very beginning is important.
That's
So
right.
that you can learn about your pet as well as the pet then understanding commands and what's good behavior and what's bad behavior, so that that pet will be a happy member of the family, and you'll be happy with the pet.
Oh, it makes such a difference, because my favorite dog, Dr. Sawyers had to put him to sleep not too long ago, my Rottweiler.
Yeah.
He was like over 140 pounds, and that was his only problem, that he hated other animals. And I thought I was going to be breeding Rottweilers, and unfortunately, you know, if I had, even though I sent him to all kinds of training and things like that, he was a little
He's an aggressive
spoiled.
dog.
He's an aggressive dog.
Yeah.
But also I found that even with the aggressive, when he had a very firm male handler who took no baloney, he had too much of a soft touch, he did much better, you know, towards the end of the twilight of his life.
I know.
Brutus
That's
was
the
much
best part.
calmer, a little bit better behaved, and I wasn't dodging his teeth quite as often.
Oh, I know. You had nightmares
I had visions
in
of the
beginning.
3 or 4 of us piled onto this Rottweiler trying to hold him down. Such a thrill. But it's now, you see, now, as a general practitioner, I would help you through minor problems, and then I'd go ahead and, if we had a large behavior problem that I felt I could not spend the time or did not have the expertise for, we now have assets in the local Boston area that would then help you solve your problem. There's a lot of neat new things going on in vet medicine. In fact, we're going to make a list and do some more
Oh,
as
that's,
time goes on.
oh, that's very interesting. And I know that we just have a few minutes left, but can you I mean, we have always such a good time. This is one of my favorite programs. The time goes by all so quickly. But can you tell us a little more about the nutritional end that you're working with the animals? I was also
Yes.
terrible when I first came to Dr. Sawyers. I've always, as everyone knows,
Baloney.
believed in feeding my dogs. I always had big dogs, all kinds of vitamins and supplements. So I would sit down and I would put in bone meal, vitamin E, all the supplements
human
I
products.
took went into their food, so they'd be big and strong. And he was appalled. He said, "How could you do that? You're over supplementing that pet." He said, "Everything is contained in the food already." So I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there like me.
Well, there's good products out, you know, as far as food goes, but nutrition is very important. We have a nutritionist at Angel Memorial. She's a board-certified veterinary nutritionist, and she sets our program for in-hospital patients as well as normal nutrition, depending on the age and stage of that animal. When they're younger, they should have one type of food that has a certain level of protein and fat and carbohydrate, micronutrients, and then when they're middle-aged and when they're older, that can change. And if they have disease, some sort of a problem that requires nutritional management, there are special products that are made now that are prescription diets.
Do you
that you
think
get
that
only
you'd
through
come
the
back on another time with us and we'll
Sure.
talk about that a little more in depth?
I'd love to.
I want to thank you very much, and it was a pleasure to
You're
meet
very
you
welcome.
and learn something, and thank
Thank
you
you, ma'am.
again.
Thank
We
you,
had
ma'am.
such a good time.
Keep those fleas out of your house.
I'm going to. I'm going to rush right out, and that's what I need.
You have to find out
Oh,
they're
well
good for people,
said,
too.
yes. Well, thank you, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. Good night.
Je frapperai jusqu'à